Welcome back to my channel. This is Ashley Bachman and we're talking about real estate. If this is the first video you're watching, there's a really good chance that it is because it's like almost my first video. I've only done one more before that, and that was the introduction to my channel, where you're gonna get a good idea of what type of content I'm gonna talk about on this channel. If you wanna go watch that first, I'll put the link to it in the caption. If I can figure out how to link it here in the video, I'll do that too. But this is a pretty good place to start as well, because in this video, I'm gonna start off by just giving you a little bit more understanding of my background so we can get to know each other a little bit better, and all the little things that I've done in my career that I feel have laddered me up really well for real estate, and I'll tell you a little bit about why that is. And then we're also going to talk about my process getting into real estate and how that all happened and unfolded for me. And I'm going to talk a bit about universe synchronicities. I resonate with the word universe. For you, it might be God, higher power, energy. Maybe it's none of those, but I implore you to remain open to this thought process and stick around for the end of the video, where I will talk a little bit about that and how that played out so amazingly for me getting into real estate. So let's jump in. So again, my name is Ashley Bachman. I'm a real estate agent here in Charlotte, North Carolina, and I'm brand new, and I'm doing this YouTube channel and I'm bringing you along with me. I'm going to do all my videos chronological, and I'm going to start with where I started and then bring you through the whole process. So let's talk about my background. I've got about 10 years of professional experience that come together in an unexpected, perfect little mix of chaos to set me up skill set wise and mindset wise so perfectly for real estate. So that reminds me, I'm going to put a little note here of something I want to mention as well. Don't want to forget. We're going to go through chronologically the past 10 years of my career, but I promise I won't bore you. I'm going to make it clear as to why each of these elements I think really set me up for success. And if anything is in your background, you might resonate with it. 10 years ago, I was a manager of variety of food units while I was in college. I was working full-time, and I was leading about 40 plus employees and a unit that was bringing in over $1 million in revenue every year. And what I learned in that position, the most important thing that I learned in that position, was what my leadership style was. And it has continued to resonate so deeply with me throughout the rest of my career. So I learned that I am a motivator. I'm very direct, I'm very straightforward. I like to get to the point, but I also like to be friendly and be welcoming and really get to know people. And I really love to learn everyone's different communication styles so that I can communicate with the variety of people that I work with. But at the end of the day, I'm a motivator. So I really love to be in a position where I can lead and inspire and motivate my team. That's going to come back around to be very important to the reason why I picked eXp as my brokerage. We're not really going to talk about that in this video, but you'll see future videos talking about why I did pick it. And one of the reasons why I did was because I know that I'm a leader, and I know what my leadership style is, and I know that I have a passion to be in a position where I can lead and motivate others, and that's why I picked eXp, because it gives me the platform to do so. What's next? Well, shortly after that, I got my degree in industrial, or better known as product design. And I knew I didn't want to be a designer, but I had a successful college career. I did do an internship at Hallmark headquarters, where I designed a toy that they sold in their gold crown stores. So it wasn't for nothing. I learned a lot. And what I learned that I think is very applicable to real estate was a couple things. I literally built models in the workshop. I learned how to use power tools, and I took that into my personal life later on that we will briefly discuss. That I've done a lot of DIY renovations, and I love to refer to myself as someone with a paintbrush in one hand and a hammer in the other, and I love to fix things and how to DIY and how to I love to do too much on my own, honestly, but my design degree really gave me that. It also gave me the ability to be incredibly observant to details, which I think is really helpful for buyers or sellers that are either prepping their home to sell, or buyers that are looking to want to purchase a home. And it's the agent's responsibility to pay attention to the details and make sure that anything that's reasonably should be noticed about a home is, and that I can tell my clients about that. I also would really love to focus on clients who are interested in renovating, either for their own use, or maybe they're investors and they're looking to flip properties. And that is all fed by my design background and my creative background. I also like to figure out how to incorporate my $80,000 college education debt into the work that I do today to try to make it make sense. But when I graduated college, I knew I didn't want to be a product designer, and I didn't necessarily know what I wanted to do, but I wanted to get out of that manager job, get off campus, do something different. I just took the first thing that was offered to me, which was a sales job, an inside and outside full cycle sales job. And at the time, I did the job for only 6 months. I was selling copy machines. I kid you not. I was selling copiers, okay? And at the time I was like, what the am I doing? And I judged people who took sales jobs because I felt like the people who took those kinds of jobs probably weren't passionate about anything and didn't really know what they wanted to do, and so they took a sales job. And that might be true for some people, but what I now appreciate about that being my first job out of college is that sales is an amazing platform to jump off from if you want to get into any other industry. It doesn't matter if you're the designer, making up the designs, if you're the manager, if you're someone in between, if you're an engineer, it doesn't matter what you do. Sales is at the foundation of everything, and you might not want to accept that. Let's say you're an artist and you just want to paint and you just want to enjoy painting. Guess what? Unless you're a trust fund baby, you're going to have to figure out how to sell your paintings. Sales is the foundation of everything. If you're an engineer and you've come up with a design and you need to push that design forward, or you need to help the rest of the team understand why this aspect of the design is so critical, you need to be able to sell that idea or that concept. So we can get into it, but sales is a massively important jumping platform for anything that you end up doing in life, and you learn so many valuable skill sets, like how to talk to strangers and how to understand a product and really sell the pros about it, and how to face objections. There's so much, and this can probably be a video for another topic, but if you are considering real estate and you haven't got into it yet, if you have a sales background, or if you want to get a taste for what real estate is like and you've never really done a proper sales job, you could consider taking a sales job first. And honestly, in whatever, software sales, printer machines, whatever you want to do, because real estate is sales. Real estate is sales, and we are going to talk a lot more about that on this channel as well. But if you are not willing to accept that real estate is sales, you will not be successful in real estate. Ooh, some of you did not want to hear that. Let's continue. After that, I took my background and I wanted to get into project management. So I took a project coordinator position at a small company, a local company in Santa Cruz. If any of you are from there or have ever visited, I highly recommend. And the company was actually responsible for spatial design and then furnishing the space with furniture. Not that we would create the furniture ourselves, but we would work with a variety of vendors and manufacturers. And then we had a designer on our team who would, select different materials and colors and blah, 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 blah. And also just like figure out the space and how much could we fit in the space, what's the capacity. And I worked alongside that person. And I was a project coordinator for that role. We would furnish hospitals and business offices and educational spaces and everything like that. So again, having an understanding for how to manage 50 projects at one time, and how to communicate with vendors, and how to communicate with clients, and how to communicate with others on my team. So many translatable skills. And I took that and I took it up a notch, and I actually went and worked at Google, and I started as a design assistant and a design coordinator, and then I worked as a creative producer, which is a fancy way of saying a creative project manager. And I worked on a team that at the time it was an NDA because it wasn't live yet, but now I can say I worked on the team that was designing and developing the first Google store, which went somewhere in New York City. And there's only a few of them now, but I was supporting the team that was designing and developing the fixtures and displays that were going to be created to put into the store. So again, a lot of experience with project management, a lot of experience working with engineers and construction and physical display. And that is, again, feeding the desire to work in renovation or to work in flips with investors. And also just the project management skill set of learning how to use different project management softwares. We use Smart Sheets, we use Gantt charts, and how to just keep things on track, okay? Because there are deadlines that are critical that you can't miss. And as a project manager, you have to be responsible for the team meeting those deadlines, which is very similar to being a real estate agent. If you do not keep your clients on track, you could have serious repercussions for whether or not the house successfully sells or not. Whew, that's a big one. This is where we take a little bit of a sidestep, and it's not going to make a ton of sense because I don't want to take tangents, but in the background of working at Google, I was starting this passion project and I was making candles, and I thought, hey, I could actually sell these, because I started to realize I have an entrepreneurial mindset and I don't entirely know where that comes from. Again, a video for maybe another time, but I learned that I had this very entrepreneurial desire, and I started making and selling candles part-time while I worked in my corporate job. And when that job ended, because it was a 2-year contract, I decided to take my candle business full-time, and I ran it for another 2 years completely full-time. And I was doing wholesale, I was selling all over the country. I even sold to Canada and to the UK, and I was doing in-person markets. I was selling online on my own website. But regardless of what I was selling or creating or how it was all playing out, the important part here is that I was running my own business full time. It was my income, and if I didn't do that well, I didn't have money. And I was responsible for setting my own goals and my own priorities and ensuring that that got done. I did not have a boss telling me what to do or when it needed to get done by or what the big goals and projects were. I had to do that for myself. And whether or not when you get into real estate, you join a team or you go solo, at the end of the day, you are an independent contractor and you are responsible for your own business. When you join real estate, you are starting your own business, okay? And if you don't know how to set goals, set priorities, plan your day, plan your calendar, and actually get shit done on your own accord without someone telling you you have to, you're gonna have a rough time. Okay, and not everyone that goes into real estate has been an entrepreneur. So if that's not in your background, don't let that shy you away from doing it. But how can you build discipline? How can you build the ability of, I'm going to set this goal for myself and I'm going to trust myself to follow through without anyone else telling you that you need to? There's so many different ways that you can build discipline in your life and build that trust with self without having to have run a business prior. I recommend getting a planner, and every day when you wake up, think strategy. I'm going to put 3 things down on my to-dos today that I want to do, all very reasonable and attainable, and then I'm going to get them done. And I'm going to look back and say, damn, I told myself to do that and I got it done. I kept getting it done. That's building accountability, and that's setting yourself up for success in real estate. Because I was running my own business, I decided that my partner and I, we decided that we wanted to live in an RV and travel full time. And so we took a 20-year-old RV and I did a huge renovation on it, and we gutted all of the existing furniture and we rebuilt, and I put new floors in and I painted and I fixed the plumbing and I fixed the electrical, and I did a massive renovation on this 20-year-old RV, and we traveled in it until it just couldn't hang anymore. It broke down. We got a new one, but that, again, story for another time. I mention all that to say that I have personal experience with renovations and things, construction going longer than expected and taking turns, and that's why, again, I want to work with clients who might be interested in renovation. I was traveling full time. I realized that running the candle business was not going to be really easy to do in an RV, so I took a fully remote job working as a creative recruiter. So I got to help people find creative jobs, and I did that full time. I did that fully remote. The remote aspect helped me learn how to work in my home environment and not get distracted. And then the recruiting was I mean, I just took the job because I wanted something flexible. I wanted something remote. I wanted something consistent and stable so that I could make money while I traveled. But recruitment really is sales, but you're just selling people. And so again, I got to build my sales experience back up at the tail end of that corporate. I started with sales, ended with sales. And I learned so many skill sets in recruiting that is proving to be very translatable to real estate. One of those things is just talking to strangers. But more than talking to strangers, when you talk to them, you know what questions you want to ask and you know what the objective is. Meaning that I am talking to this, in recruitment, I'm talking to this person saying, why would you leave your current job for this job? How much would you want in a salary? Like, what would be your motivating factor for leaving? Why might you not consider leaving? What are your priorities? And all of this is super translatable to talking to customers or potential clients. Why do you want to move? What's your motivating factor for moving? What price point do you want to move at? What are your priorities for buying or selling? And learning how to understand the human psyche and how to have a conversation that the person wants to give me this information. They want to share. They realize that I'm a partner in their success story and that I'm here to provide value to them. Besides that, I also learned just the fundamental skill set of prospecting and how you have to have this. Let's just say, for example, in recruitment, I want to send out maybe 150 to 300 messages every week. If I've got one job that I'm trying to fill, I want to send out that many messages because maybe 30% of those people will reply to my message. Now I'm working with, let's just say, 50 people. And out of that, maybe only half of them have the proper qualifications to really take on this job or are interested in having a conversation. And then maybe only half of those people show up to my calls. And then maybe only half of those people are even right for the job after I have a more in-depth conversation and I push them forward, I submit them for the job. And then let's say 2 people get requested for an interview. There's a chance that the company doesn't want to hire either of them because there's competitors out there. There's other recruiters submitting other candidates for the same job. Can you see how that's similar to real estate? You need to be lead prospecting. You need to be having so many conversations with as many people as you reasonably can each day, each week, because the more conversations you're having, the more you are funneling down to that one person that might actually buy or sell a home with you. Because there are so many other agents out there. And I can't even begin to say more on how that job set me up so perfectly, and even in my mindset for this career. And the last bit that I wanted to mention too in this time frame is within the last 6 years of my own personal life, I've been on my own personal development journey, really strengthening my mindset, just in how I approach life, which comes into how do I approach things that are fearful, things that I'm scared of? How do I wake up every day with gratitude? How do I strengthen my mindset? How do I set intentions for what I want my career to look like and really pull that in, manifesting all of these things. And I've worked on that just for myself, and that really feeds my ability to run my own business and to not be completely thrown off track when something doesn't go as planned, because things are always not going to go as planned, right? That was the majority of this this video, but I do want to talk about 2 other things. And the next bit would be about my lead up into real estate. So in September of 2023, I actually lost my job, and it was perfect timing because we were traveling in our RV full time, and in June of last year of 2023, we decided to stay in Charlotte, North Carolina. So in those first couple months of being here, I was thinking a lot about, man, I'm not traveling anymore. I'm stationary. I don't need to work remote. This job isn't super fulfilling. Like, what would I do if I did something next? Like, what's next for me? What kind of doors might be open because of the fact that I've decided to stay in one place? And I started to consider that. And like many other people, real estate was in the back of my mind, on the back burner at some point in the last 10 years that I just discussed. And I decided to investigate further. So I bought a book, The Millionaire Real Estate Agent by Gary Keller, who is also the part founder, I guess, of Keller Williams. And I bought it because I wanted to read through. I wanted to see if I felt inspired to really take action in real estate. I wanted to read through and have a better understanding of what is required out of someone to be successful in real estate. And do I feel like I can do that? Do I feel like I have those skill sets? So I was reading it, getting excited for what this might entail. And I started researching online what are the steps to becoming a real estate agent? And then where are the courses? And do I have to take it online? Can I take it in person? Can I take it self-paced? What's the pros and cons? What are all the different platforms? And I started to research and kind of narrow down where might I take the 75-hour pre-licensing course that is required, at least in the state of North Carolina. There might be some nuances depending on what state you're in, but there's always going to be a pre-licensing course required. And I researched that, and I kind of found a platform that I was most interested in and felt had some good reviews. And then literally 3 weeks after the inception of buying this book and doing this research, I lost my job as a recruiter. And I had a quick cry because I was taken off guard and I was blindsided, and I didn't like how they could just chew me up and spit me out whenever they wanted, without any forewarning, without any heads up, without any opportunity to try to see if I could turn things around. And I just realized that in the corporate world, it's all a numbers game. Like it's that way every way, but like as an employee, like if you're a number, and if you're not providing the numbers that they need, you're out. And it doesn't come down to whether or not they like you. It was perfect because after my cry, I that weekend immediately jumped straight into the course. I purchased the course because I already knew what I wanted to do. I had done all the research. I knew what was next for me, and I didn't wait. I bought the course and I started studying. And that is what leads me into my last point of this video, which is all about universe synchronicities. And again, like I said in the beginning, choose what word resonates with you. If you believe that God is a better word or whatever else, I really resonate with universe, so that's what I'm going to use. Do what works for you. But something that I had been building in my personal development that I had mentioned prior was a lot about understanding the universe and how it works and how I can really communicate with it and work with it, and the concept that the universe is always working for me and it's never working against me. And sometimes things happen that I don't understand how that's for me in the moment, but as life continues, I see how that was for me. And I really have built a trust and a knowing that everything is happening exactly as it should. That's not to say that I don't have choice in life, but it's just a faith. I learned how to build a communication with the universe. And I'm not perfect at it, but I've learned it, I've practiced it, and I've seen it happen so clearly. I set the intention. I was clear with my desire. I bought this book, I read it, I took the time to research. I asked myself the question, what's next? I was thoughtful in this. I took action, and the universe saw that intention, it saw the desire, and it said, I am gonna make space for you to do this. Because I could have kept my job and done this on the side, and that's a way to do it too. That's totally fine. But the universe said, we are going to light a fire under your butt, and we are going to throw you into the deep end, because Ashley, that is how you learn best. That is how you do best. You have all the skill sets and the ability to do this. There's no reason to twiddle your thumb and wait for anything else. And the universe just said, we hear you. We hear you saying what it is that you desire, and we're going to help make space for that in your life. Bye, job. And even though I was upset about losing the job in that moment, I also instantly knew. It was so clear what my next step was going to be. I didn't even question it, because I had built this communication and this knowing. I had set the intention out, and I had got the response like, yeah, this is your path. Go ahead, let's do it. And I just wanted to mention that because that was a significant part of my story. That was a significant part in my trust in really taking the step to buy the course, to study, to get the exam, and to be where I'm at today. And if you have any sort of faith system that you already have embedded or that you can practice, I highly recommend considering how you can bring this into your awareness. It's going to be something that we talk about in a lot of videos moving forward, because I am who I am, and that's a big part of me. So we'll definitely talk more about it, especially when it comes to the strategy and mindset aspect of the videos and this channel that we will talk more about once we get through all the initial steps of becoming a real estate agent. Mindset, it's going to come back to awareness. It's going to come back to faith in the universe and the trust in the knowing and all these beautiful things. We're going to come back to it. So at this point, that's a bit about me from the lens of my career, at least, and why everything that I've done has set me up so perfectly for real estate. I hope that while listening to this, you feel inspired, maybe because there's aspects of your background that mimic mine, and you're like, man, if she's done that, I can do that. Maybe you're curious about your background and if what you have done is going to set you up for success in real estate. What I would say to you is just strip down the basics of like, what is it that you were doing in your role? What's the fundamentals of the success of your role, and take those out and see how they apply to real estate. I bet you'll find connections. There's a lot of people that come from a variety of backgrounds, but they find their way of saying like, this is why what I've done will set me up for success with real estate. If there's anything else that you want to know more about or you'd like me to elaborate on, just put that in the comments below and I'll take a note of it to elaborate on that in a future video. If you appreciated this video and you want to follow along in the journey, then just take a moment to subscribe, like the video, comment below, send me some hearts, send me some love. It helps in the algorithm. It takes you 2 seconds. I appreciate it. In the next video, I am going to talk to you about the course that I picked for my 75-hour pre-licensing course required for real estate, how I picked it, and why I picked it. And then we'll go into more details about that in the future. But for now, I will put a link in the caption with a direct link to the program that I picked. So you're going to get a little sneak peek. I did work with the CE shop. It was self-paced and self-guided. That may not be for you, but we'll talk about that in the next video. I'll see you then.